Hello everyone and welcome back to Scandinavian Design 101. I'm Sanna.
I'm Andreas and we are two Swedes and we love design. And everyone interested in design has heard about Poul Henningsen, a name highly associated with Danish lamps produced by Louis Poulsen. But outside Denmark, few people know anything about the person Poul Henningsen. He was indeed so much more than just a lamp designer, and in this video we will focus on his furniture and also talk a bit about his political view and why he didn't want to call himself a functionalist. This video is a collaboration with PH Furniture, a Danish company producing furniture by Henningsen. We all know that he designed his legendary three-shade lamp system in the fall of 1925, and if you want to hear more about that, we have separate videos about it, so you can check it out.
Poul Henningsen was born on September 9th in 1894 in Ordrup in the northern suburbs of Copenhagen. He was born into a Bohemian family as an illegitimate child. Illegitimate. That's a difficult word. Of the young writer Agnes Henningsen. She was married to the principal Mads Henningsen, but the father turned out to be the famous satirist Karl Evald. When Poul was only 1 year old, his stepfather fled to America after being caught having an affair with one of his students. Poul was sent to be raised by relatives, but moved back to his mother as soon as her novels started generating money. He grew up in a home filled with artists, actors, and political agitators. Agnes' novels dealt with controversial issues as polygamy and sexual freedom, and her negative view on the traditional family would come to influence her son.
Also, Poul would become a highly controversial person, loved by some and hated by others. And for much of his adult life, Poul had been writing articles in the Danish art magazine Klingen. It means the knife blade or the blade,
okay.
Yeah. But also in the newspaper Politiken as well as Extrabladet. He got his own architect column and wrote editorials. And in his articles he criticized traditionalism and argued that traditional furniture and architecture was made for the upper class. And according to him, the main purpose for the architect was to fight social problems and build a new and better society, not to create like beautiful objects. And shape and aesthetics should always come secondary and always be a result of function.
When money started rolling in from the highly successful lamps, Henningsen decided to start a new magazine with some friends. The result was Kritisk Revy, Critical Review, founded in the summer of 1926. The focus was avant-garde architecture and design, but it soon became a general cultural magazine also featuring articles about topics like music, movies, literature, and religion. The architectural elite was targeted and accused of making old and bourgeois architecture. In the magazine, Henningsen claimed most architects were bound together like a rat king, creating the same old things without any social responsibility. During the 3 years the magazine existed, it became more and more socialistic, arguing that urban planning is socialism in practice.
Yeah, and when hearing this, it's easy to believe that Henningsen would love the growing modernist movement and applaud the Bauhaus and functionalist aesthetic that had its great breakthrough in Scandinavia on the Stockholm exhibition in 1930. But this was not really the case. Personally, Henningsen hated the word functionalism and refused to call himself a functionalist. Traditionalism, he said, is the arch enemy. Functionalism is a false friend. He saw a difference between true and false modernism and accused the functionalists of worshipping materials like concrete and steel, but without making the world a better place to live in. False modernism was, according to him, nothing but a new aesthetic without the political dimension. And one example is the wooden cubist chair made by Marcel Breuer in 1922. It was, according to Henningsen, contaminated by the electric chair. It looks like the electric chair.
It does, actually.
And also the Bauhaus as a whole was criticized for often being sterile and boring. And modern materials had become a facade and was used without a purpose, just to make a statement.
But also the Danish modernist architects who used more living and exclusive materials were criticized. Unlike colleagues like Arne Jacobsen and Finn Juhl, he considered beauty to be a byproduct impossible to predict. Everyday objects like beer bottles and light bulbs were beautiful, not because they were made to be beautiful, but as a byproduct of their function. When Arne Jacobsen designed his legendary Bellevue Theatre in 1936, Henningsen was first positive, but soon started criticizing the project. As with the Aarhus City Hall, it was just a delicious box polluted by expensive wood and aesthetic mumbo-jumbo. The foundation of functionalism, simplicity and economy had been lost. For the same reason, he also criticized most contemporary furniture designs. In 1927, he roasted Kåre Klint's legendary Faubourg chair in an article in Kritisk Revy. On a picture, he was holding a classic Tonette chair with just one hand, and under the picture one could read, "By making this chair 5 times as expensive, 3 times heavier, half as comfortable, and only a fraction as beautiful, an architect can make a good name for himself."
But what about the furniture by Henningsen? He would come to design tubular steel furniture much like the ones he so often mocked. No matter what he said, wasn't he in fact a functionalist? First of all, it's important to be aware of putting labels on people. His opponents call him a communist, and for long he probably was. But he was never a member of any political party and would condemn the Soviet Union. But it's just as difficult to say if he was a functionalist or not, but one must remember that he was a troublemaker, always searching for debate. And his mission was to make architects socially aware, and the mean was criticism. And when studying his view on design and architecture, it's impossible not to consider him to be a functionalist. But yet again, why put a label on him?
And now to the furniture he came to design. Already in 1919, at the age of 25, he designed his first wooden furniture, among them a minimalist dressing table. He continued to design a whole collection of furniture as a gift for a Danish couple to celebrate their marriage. All these furniture were made from wood with brass legs, which made them look like they were floating in the air, with a clear distinction between what is carrying and what is being carried. The original furniture are still in private collection, but nowadays PH Furniture is producing them and they are therefore finally available to buy. Let's take a look at them.
Yeah. On behalf of the furniture manufacturer V.A. Høvding, Poul Henningsen designed a range of tubular steel furniture to be exhibited at the Dansk Købestævne in 1932. And the result was a collection of furniture quite different from the tubular steel furniture made by architects like Marcel Breuer during the 1920s. And one striking difference is that Henningsen chose not to take advantage of the elasticity of the steel, like in the cantilever chairs of the Bauhaus. And it was indeed more playful furniture than the ones made by his German colleagues. And one interesting piece in the collection is a dining chair highly inspired by the traditional Toinette chair. And it's hard not to see the resemblance also with a PK12 designed by Paul Henningsen in 1962. It's hardly a secret that Henningsen admired the functionalist yet elegant Toinette chairs, and it's far from surprising he made a tubular steel version of it. Henningsen always promoted mass production and standardization, but at the time his furniture had to be handmade, which made mass production impossible, and only a few of them were ever made. Henningsen himself wrote very little about them, and therefore it's impossible to know the purpose behind them. Some historians have argued that Henningsen probably understood that they would be impossible to produce at the time, but that he made them rather as a statement. When criticizing fellow architects, he perhaps wanted to show his version of tubular steel furniture. In more recent years, the company PH Furniture started producing the whole range, and now let's take a look at them.
When designing lamps, Henningsen was obsessed of making them free of glare. In the late 1930s, Henningsen decided to design a mirror that provided a reflection free from shadows and glare. The first sketches of a mirror with an integrated lamp are dated to March 1938, and he continued working on the optimal mirror the following years. He thought of the mirror as one of his 3-shade lamps, but with a mirror glass instead of the middle and bottom shade. When lit up, the top shade created a circle of light around the mirror, creating a pleasant and decorative lighting, perfect when doing your makeup. I love that. I want one. Yeah. The mirrors were launched in 1939 in different sizes, the largest one with a diameter of 40 centimeters mounted on a copper top shade equal to the one used on the PH5/5 lamp. During his exile in Sweden during the Second World War, Henningsen developed a version of the mirror with a folded paper shade behind the mirror, much like the ones seen on the Le Klint lamps. This version also gave the wall behind the mirror a soft light, making the mirror more of a combined mirror and lamp. Today, the mirror is available in 3 sizes from PH Furniture, and let's take a look at them.
Henningsen also designed a few different dining tables, and most spectacular is without doubt the axe table designed in 1954. And he came up with the idea after visiting Canada and saw beyond the axe as just a functional item. And I guess that's what Henningsen meant when he talked about beauty as a byproduct of a function.
Yeah.
And let's take a look at this table because I really like it. And this was our video about the furniture of Poul Henningsen. And if you want to learn more and check the furniture out, you should visit the webpage phfurniture.com.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you liked this video,
please click thumbs up and subscribe.
Yeah, and follow us on Instagram. We're called Scandinavian Design 101.
Thank you for watching.
Thanks.